And I know a lot of people who are fans of the Mass Effect series are going to be like, what the heck is wrong with you?
Hi. There we go. Hi, everyone. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
She does not look happy.
It's fine. It's fine.
Emily,
I've narrowed my list of 13 down to 7.
7?
And no, it's fine. Because, see, look, I just thought of another one. That doesn't need to go in the top 5. Probably.
We're going to mention our honorable mentions, so, like, keep them there.
It's down to 6. See? We're already improving. I just need to get rid of one more. Do I know which one that's going to be?
So the difference between our lists. By the way, welcome to the podcast. Hi, I'm Blake.
Emily.
We're doing our top 5 favorite games of all time, and I think I've finally broken Emily. Because here's the difference between ours. I was able to get mine done. It sucked, but not as bad. Mine are numbered from my favorite to my least of the favorites, even though I don't hate any of these. Emily did not even rank them.
No. This is just the top 5 in a random order. Blake, the fact that you could come up with a number 1 game of all time, like,
for me,
spoiler alert, it's got to be Kingdom Hearts 1, right? Like,
it's for me. I mean, I guess you'll find out once we go through the list.
I just can't. I love lots of games, but I can't think of, like, what is my favorite game of all time.
I can.
I don't know if that's nice or not. I don't know. So
I had to sit and I had to think about what games. I looked at my shelf, my giant shelf over there that you guys can't see because my green screen's up. And I thought, okay, on the shelf, what can I play over and over again and not get tired of and wish I could play again for the first time? And I came down to the top 5 with some honorable mentions.
Did try to, so the way I processed mine was I thought, okay, which game, number 1, like, which game could I play over and over and over again? And I mean, I think I could think of any game, but, like, put a lot of time into and not get bored of. And then second, I try to not do the same type of game. Like, I kind of approached it like, if you're going to a desert island and you can only take 5 games with you, which games do you take? And obviously I'm not going to take 5 Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon, like, the exact same 5. So I try to pick ones from, like, different genres to keep things interesting.
Looking at my list, actually, yeah, mine are all different genres. I didn't even notice till you said something just now.
Oh, because I think, like, when you start comparing, you're like, okay, well, these two are basically the same type of game. Which one do I like more? I think that kind of happens naturally a little bit. Like, obviously, like, I wasn't going to have 4 Zelda games.
I think 2 of them on here, people are going to argue are the same genre, but they're not. Because one's a JRPG and one's an action JRPG, which are 2 completely different games. Look, turn-based versus real-time action are 2 different things. Like, let's be real.
Blake put Persona and Persona 5 Strikers.
Persona 5 Strikers is not even in my top 50 favorite games. Let's be real. Great game. Enjoyed it. Not in my top 50.
It bothers me looking at this that your green screen is so nice and mine is so terrible.
We just had this conversation. It's not your green screen that's the problem. It's your lighting. And that's why I sent you that ring light to get.
He feels like a problem. So, I looked at him and he felt like a problem.
If you look, well, you guys can't see. So my, like, the light above me is completely off and the ring light's the only thing. So it's shining on the green screen and that's why it's doing the right thing.
All right, I'll invest in a ring light.
I mean, yeah. I bought mine from Tattered back in the day, so.
My list, except for one of them, I did get rid of 2. I feel like my list could have contained every, like, quote-unquote bad opinion. Like, if I was going to pick a game out of every series, I think my list could have contained the least favorite game in every series.
Okay.
You know, like, picking Skyward Sword from Zelda, like, that kind of vibe. And I feel like it's going to really upset people, but I didn't do that. I could have.
I know that's on our list. That is 1,000% on our list. And if it's not, I'll be shocked. I will be shocked.
Just as shocked as I will be if Kingdom Hearts 1 isn't on your list, but I'm fairly certain that's your number 1. So...
You're just making assumptions.
You're right. I absolutely am. I'm
Okay.
guessing. This is guesswork.
Well,
Guesswork, baby.
I'm gonna rip the band-aid off. You're going first.
Okay, this is great because I had one game, like one game alone, I was entirely confident in that I was like, I could play this game until the cows come home. I love this game so much.
I know what it
And
is.
like because we couldn't name series, like we couldn't say the Legend of Zelda series.
I
I
never
tried
said
to think,
we couldn't name series. I
well, I
never.
just assumed we weren't doing that.
Yeah.
I I feel like this is the perfect standalone game. And it's part of a series, and so I know people in this series are gonna like freak out and be like, "You chose the worst one," and
Oh.
that would be Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh. Oh.
And I know a lot of people who are fans of the Mass Effect series are gonna be like, "What the heck is wrong with you?" But I think if you took away, I think Andromeda gets a lot of crap for just not being the first series. I think people are bitter that they didn't get Shepard again. But I think if you looked at Mass Effect Andromeda as its own being, first of all, for me personally, remembering that this is a personal thing, I loved the story. I loved the characters. I loved the gameplay style. I thought, even though the animations definitely had some weird, some weird facial expressions sometimes, I still thought the game looked nice. I thought the worlds looked nice. And it wrapped it all up in a little bow that like was really nice. Like you get to the end and you save the day and your team's like, we all love each other. Let's go back on our ship and just go off to space and live happy days. It was a perfectly self-contained game, and I've played it so many times. Okay, and people will complain that the game was buggy. The game was buggy at launch, and I didn't play it at launch. I played it later, and it's not buggy anymore. Like, no more than I would say is a normal game is. Like, every game's got its problems, but, like, I never encountered
I think
those
that feeds
bugs.
into the problem with the game industry right now, though, is they're releasing unfinished stuff and it's pissing everybody off. And I get that.
Yeah, I definitely think that signals, like, a larger problem in the gaming industry, but I honestly think Mass Effect Andromeda specifically got way more crap than it deserved because of that problem, and then also I just know a lot of people wanted them to continue the Shepard story and they didn't. But as someone who came into this game with very little to no Mass Effect knowledge, I loved it. I thought it was a great time, and it's a fun standalone game.
I think it has this effect, and you and I have a friend who hates when I say this, but this is the perfect example of this. Mass Effect Andromeda, because everyone who likes Mass Effect Andromeda didn't play the other games. Mass Effect Andromeda is a great game. It's not a good Mass Effect game, and that's the two things.
You don't take that true though. Like, I think at the end of the day, the thing that doesn't make it a Mass Effect game for people is that there's no Commander Shepard. Like, I thought the aliens still, like, the different cultures and worlds mixed together, the bringing in of a new culture. Like, obviously there were aspects of, like, the original series that were left behind, but that's because we're literally moving to a new galaxy. Like, obviously the council from the original series isn't gonna go to Andromeda and start ruling there. But I still thought, like, the concept of, like, humans traveling through space and these different alien species and whatnot was still... I still thought it worked really well. And it worked as they introduced the new alien species and the new alien antagonist species to, like, kind of compare how... For the new species, how humans and Turians and whatnot had all learned to coexist. But even the conflicts that they had throughout time for this new species to kind of see that, because they were struggling with that. No, I felt it worked.
I have no skin in the game. I've never played Andromeda. I've only played 10 hours of I almost said BioShock of Mass Effect 2. So yeah.
A little of the first one and two, and I did watch my friend play chunks of them. She loves Garrus, and I support Garrus love.
Everyone loves Garrus.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Andromeda, and I have played it more times than I can count at this point, and I keep enjoying it. Keep romancing Jal, and no one will stop me.
I support your decision. I didn't think that was going to be your definite though.
It was, because it was an easy choice for me because I've played it so many times, and I just genuinely don't get bored with it. And like there's like different choices you can make throughout the game, and they don't like I mean they can somewhat change different aspects of it, but enough that you could go back and be like, this time I'm going to make different choices. It's fun.
That's gonna be Starfield, and that's why I'm excited for Starfield, because it's Fallout in space.
Yeah, I am excited for that one. I'm gonna have to play it on my PC, and I've never played a game that long on my PC before, so I'm a little nervous about that.
What I'm gonna recommend, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna get Game Pass instead of paying full $70 for a game that might not run, because I'm barely above the minimum spec. You're barely above the minimum spec.
Okay.
You're gonna get Game Pass. We're gonna try to run it that way and only pay $10. And if that doesn't work, we can cloud stream it. So
Okay. We'll try that. But Blake, please share me your first game.
mine are numbered because I am not a savage who doesn't. I like order, and that's a lie. I'm ADHD.
I just love all my games, and I can't be forced to, like, opinions change. Like, one day I'm super obsessed with Animal Crossing, and the next day I'm replaying Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm like, this is the best game ever. Like, it's not consistent.
Yeah, I get that. Except for towards the top, it's full consistency. But okay, besides the point.
Give it.
My number 5, and I rediscovered my love for this earlier this year because I played it again, and it's just so good. BioShock Infinite, the third BioShock, the elite. It's controversial as your Andromeda pick because it's the BioShock that nobody likes. It's the BioShock.
I've heard good things about it.
No, and most people don't like Infinite. It got rid of the horror-ish aspects of it. It tackled more into the string theory side of science, which essentially is like infinite realities, infinite universes, etc., etc. It had major political themes of racism, inequality, and all that. It's not open world, so I didn't feel overwhelmed. It is
Okay.
It is very linear, not so linear where it's like a hallway simulator, but it's linear enough to where I'm not like, where do I go from here? I like the powers. I like everything that it has ever tackled. It's just so interesting. When you get to the end, my jaw dropped. So I don't know if I told you this story, but when Infinite came out and it was, I think it was right after The Last of Us came out, I actually went to my local game store where I'm from, and I asked the guy, and I'm still friends with this guy to this day after this conversation. I said, do I buy The Last of Us or do I get BioShock Infinite?
And you chose the wrong game.
He told me, he's like, look, they're both phenomenal. I would be, but based on the things I told him I liked, he's like, I would go BioShock Infinite. And it stuck with me. It stuck with me. It's such a good game.
I think he made the right call because you have played some of The Last of Us, and it obviously didn't like inspire you enough to keep playing.
It didn't.
So.
But I hyper fixated on. I played it like, I think I finished it in 4 days. Like I just did that. I went to class. I went home, played Infinite, and I kept going. I've heard really good things about it. I know very little about the BioShock series as a whole. Like, my one significant story from that series, and it's not even my story, it's just my friend told me she played that entire game not knowing how to sprint. And so she just, like, walked through the entire game. So, I'm going to tell you this now. You would love BioShock 1. It's not, I wouldn't call it a full-fledged horror, but there are horror themes to it. There is obviously a lot of action involved into it. That they're very good at storytelling on top of gameplay. I think you would enjoy the first BioShock. I don't know so much about Infinite, but I know you would enjoy BioShock 1.
All right, I'll add it to the list. I do enjoy my horror games, so
I'm playing BioShock 1 for Spoopy Month this year because I haven't played in a very long time, and I love BioShock 1.
Ooh. All right, well, I probably won't watch that so I don't get spoiled.
That is also true because knowing you won't play it till 2026.
Probably.
She's not even denying. No.
No, I think I would have more inspiration to play that than I would to play Pokemon, because I've played Pokemon games before and I know already that they're not my thing.
That's fair.
Whereas I've never played BioShock, and you said it has horror in it. I like horror.
She has 2 months to give me back my copy of Pokemon Violet. Actually, it's a little over 2 months. I'll be there in 2.5 months. Yeah, it's still there.
I have it.
She's had it since January.
That tells you how much I want to play.
No, since December. She's had it. No, since January. You had it since you came here in January. Because I didn't give it to you in December.
I simply just don't want to, but I will.
She won't. I'm at the point where I've accepted she's not going to play it, and it's fine. I'm just going to let it lie.
I'm gonna do it. I promise. I swear. Pinky promise. That's not my pinky. I gave you a peace sign, and that wasn't my pinky. Oh, okay. Should we go on to the next one?
Yeah, that's all I have to say about mine. I mean, I could talk about Infinite all day long, but I want you to have played Infinite before I could really get into the meat and potatoes of Infinite, because holy shit. Oh my
Now
goodness.
I wish I had played it before we had this talk. Okay, well, my next one, this was another one I was pretty confident in choosing. And that's, I had to think about between this one and another one in the same series, and I had to decide if nostalgia was influencing this choice. And I think parts of it, yes, parts of it, no.
Do I know what this is?
I think you're thinking this is an Ocarina of Time versus Skyward Sword debate, and it's not. It's actually Paper Mario 64.
Yep. All right. That's actually what I thought it was. You just assumed.
Yeah, it's Paper Mario 64, and I did have to think choosing between this one and the Thousand Year Door. And quite honestly, I love them both so dearly, but I do think the nostalgia pushes 64 ahead a little for me, and I also think I enjoyed the companions from 64 more than I enjoyed the companions from Thousand Year Door, and I think I enjoyed some of the levels in 64 more than I enjoyed the ones in Thousand Year Door. That being said, Thousand Year Door, the ability to play as both Peach and Bowser was super fun, especially the Bowser levels. But I think the original Paper Mario just hits so good. I love the different star abilities. I loved all the music, the Star Haven thing. I loved having Toad Town. I thought the Mushroom Kingdom was really fun to explore on its own. I loved all the different levels. I loved all of the companions. And I'm a huge fan of turn-based combat. So, I mean, this was kind of my introduction to turn-based combat as a child. And I love the system. I love thinking about, okay, what can I do and what can my companion do to get rid of the most amount of enemies, minimize the amount of damage. I just love strategizing that way. And so this hit really good. It's a fantastic game.
I'm appreciative you made me play it earlier this year. I loved every minute of it. Or was it last year I finished it? Was it this year or last year?
It was last year. It was over a year ago.
Oh, shit. Yeah. No, I loved it. I'm still a Thousand Year Door stan, but that's because that's the game I started with.
That's so fair. And, I would also call myself a Thousand Year Door stan. Like, truly, if you line them up, like, out of 10, I would maybe give, like, the N64 one, like, a 9.9 and Thousand Year, like, a 9.8. Like, that's how close they are to me. I do think the nostalgia and just some of the characters push it over. But then there are levels from Thousand Year Door, like the train level, where you're completely on the train, or like the one where you go to the place in the sky, like that are just so genuinely fun. But I think overall, 64 it just comes a little more on top for me.
The thing with both of them have a lot of wit. The opening scenes of Thousand Year Door for me have a little bit more wit, especially when you have the two Piantas from Sunshine just in the background having a conversation when you're talking. It's that kind of stuff that makes me lose it. It's the fourth wall breaking, the weird things you see in the background, the wackiness. Don't play Origami King. It sucks.
No. I will say, talking about the wit from Thousand Year Door, and now you're making me question my decision to choose N64.
No, you.
But I do love it.
You're right. You're valid. You're valid. Absolutely.
Well, no,
valid.
I was also thinking about how in Thousand Year Door, every time you finish a chapter and you come back to what is it called? Something Port. I don't remember.
In Thousand Year Door?
Yeah.
Rogueport?
Rogue, thank you. Every time you come back to Rogueport, Luigi is there with a new companion and another tale of his adventure to save the Waffle Queen. Claire, I think her name is. And, like, just talking to different companions, like, Luigi will be like, this was my grand adventure, listen to how I was a hero. And then you'll go to, like, his burnt, like, little blooper buddy, and his blooper buddy's like, this idiot tossed me in a volcano. I'm only staying with him right now to figure out a way to murder him and exact my revenge. But like the entire series, I shouldn't say the entire. The first two games are so witty and fun. I'll say the third game a little bit too. Are just so witty and fun and magical. There's a line in Thousand Year Door as well where there's like a guy who's going undercover, infiltrating Mario's gang, and he's like wearing glasses to like cover up his identity, and they call him Four Eyes. And there's a point where he's revealing that he's evil, where he's standing on top of this pirate ship, like at the very top of it. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, he's evil. But there's one guy who doesn't get that he's evil. He doesn't understand what's happening. And he shouts really loudly, Four Eyes, it's dangerous up there. And my friend and I quoted that to each other for like 5 years. We thought it was the funniest thing on earth. So like both of those games, so witty, so charming. With fantastic combat to boot. So I don't think you can go wrong.
Nope. Agreed. Agreed 1,000%. Cool. My number 4 is another game Emily I know has never played.
Oh boy.
You watched me play it. You've actually watched me play this, kind of. Back when we were both work from home and we had a lot more spare time than we thought we would.
Okay.
And that is Sly Cooper. The first Sly Cooper.
Oh. I didn't expect.
So, all right. Backstory. We're never going to get the PS2 era of games ever again, where 3D platformers were just king and everything was wonderful and I was happy all the time. Just
yeah,
going
that's for
at
shit.
Sly Cooper is a weird mix of 3D platformer plus sneaky like Assassin's Creed, because you got to be sneaky. All right. And Sly Cooper just, I don't know, it blew me out of the water with what it was. And it was my first real collectathon type game. Like, you're going through a normal linear stage, but you have to look for clues and stuff to find all the pieces and everything. And when they re-released it on the PS3, that's when I decided to platinum it. And platinuming the first one and the second one were very, very rewarding. I still have to do the third one. But Sly Cooper is phenomenal. Love that game to death. Can only talk about it so much. I would recommend that you play it. However, the main issue is there's no way currently that you can unless you have a PS3.
No, I have a PS2, a PS4, and a PS5.
Oh, you can. You have a PS2. You just get a copy of PS2.
It's very old. I haven't touched my PS2 in like forever. The last time I played it was, what were my PS2 games? I think I had the American Idol game on it, and I had the Harry Potter Quidditch game on it.
I have a secret to tell you. All PlayStation 2s are old.
Yeah, no, that's a very statement, bud.
No. To be fair, they're not, because the PS2 didn't stop selling until 2014. Like, we were in the PS4 era when they stopped selling PS2s.
Okay, well, mine in particular is a tad old.
I got mine. I got mine off Facebook Marketplace with 30 games for $30.
Oh, damn.
I got a steal on it back then. A bunch of Wii games I got rid of, and a lot of PS2 games and PSP games I ended up keeping. I paid way too little. I should have paid like $150 to $200. I paid 30.
Such a steal.
It was the golden era. But no, Sly Cooper is great. There is in my honorable mentions, I'm going to mention a few that are in the same vein, and I had to pick this one over those three.
So which particular, you chose the first Sly Cooper?
The first one.
Why did you choose that over the other two?
Nostalgia mainly, because I only played the first one for so long. It took me years before it took me until I got the re-release on the PS3, which was the collection bundle, where I played 2 and 3. And then they released 4. 4 is not going to be in anyone's top 5. 4 is fine, but it's not. Sucker Punch. Oh, yeah, this is also the same company that made Ghost of Tsushima.
They did, because you have to dress up as Sly Cooper to get one of the Ghost of Tsushima trophies.
Yes, you do. You absolutely do. Yeah, the first one, once again, is just it's all based on nostalgia for this one. It was very memorable how many times this is one of the experiences too where I didn't have a memory card yet, so I had to keep starting it over and going through the first level.
certain level of torture. Like there was one time where my GameCube was glitching, or it was my game, but my friend was beating Wind Waker for the first time ever. And we'd get to the final boss and we'd beat it, and then it would error out. And we beat that final boss like 50 times, and she never got to see that ending cutscene.
Where he stabs Ganon just in the head.
Yeah, and then like the water rises, and you say goodbye to the King of Hyrule, blah 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 blah. So that was a great period of games where you're like, well, I just have to accept that this is broken.
But yeah, I'm gonna say this about the Sly Cooper series, Sly Cooper 2. If I'm going from an objective level, which is a better game, objectively, Sly Cooper 2 is the best.
Okay.
Objectively, because the mechanics are so much more fleshed out, the levels are much better. There's so much extra shit on top of it. It just makes it so much more fun. But Sly Cooper 1 is winning by a hair for me just because of nostalgia and how often I replayed it. Also, they have a voodoo crocodile as a boss that I love.
Fun.
It was wonderful.
Okay, so you were saying Sly Cooper 2 is the better made game, but like if you were taking nostalgia out, do you have more fun with Sly Cooper 2, or do you genuinely have the most fun with Sly Cooper 1?
Once again, it's a hair. It's a hair. It's just like your 1,000-Year Door versus...
Yeah. They're both fantastic.
Yeah, when I'm saying that overall, though, this is just from if you were to poll 1 million people who had played this game, they're all going to pick 2 over 1.
Well, I'm not polling 1 million people. I'm polling one person, and his name is Blake.
Who?
You. I want your opinion specifically. In fact, I think a lot of the people listening to this podcast specifically came here for your opinion.
Well, my opinion is that's what I enjoy more, but I know the reason is nostalgia.
Listen, polling people is BS. Like, if you could poll 1,000 people and ask them what their favorite Zelda game is, and they're gonna pick like Majora's Mask. Like,
True.
And that doesn't mean it's the best one. You obviously know my favorite. If we polled the entire world, very few people are gonna pick my favorite. So like,
so you hear this now. Everyone's saying, Emily's saying that all the polls I do in my Discord are nonsense and should be nullified and void.
When it comes to the favorite, polls are silly when it comes to favorite because
you
can't tell me something's not my favorite anymore.
Right. It's opinion. It's opinion.
If you ask everyone what their favorite Mass Effect game is, almost no one is going to choose Andromeda, and yet here I am.
But once again, my whole thing is, what is a better made game and has a lot more content in it? Sly Cooper 2. But nostalgia has me taken big time.
You're choosing Sly Cooper 1.
There's a lot of childhood memories attached to it, and I love it.
You know, like if we're talking about better made games, like we talked about last week or like last time, we were talking about like the most influential games. I do think sometimes nostalgia does have to take a backseat, or like when we're having those conversations. But when you're talking about your favorite, nostalgia plays such a role in like how much you love something.
That's where it's important, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a time where you can be like, yeah, nostalgia is influencing that, and that's okay because it makes it more your favorite. Right.
Exactly. I put one of those games that is not in my favorite games list on my influential games list. So
I'm like still so torn.
All right.
Okay.
What's your not number 4, but your number 4?
Okay, this was another one I was fairly confident in, and another reason I was so confident in this is because I do go through periods where I don't play this game for a really long time, but the amount of hours I have in it is just kind of sickening. I don't know if I've ever played a game for this many hours.
I know what this is.
I think at this point I'm like at 1,000 or more, and I know for some people that's small potatoes, but that's pretty big for me. Of course, Blake knows what it is. It's going to be Animal Crossing New Horizons.
I told her I had 150 hours, and she's like, "What? That's nothing."
The numbers I have in that game are nothing compared to some people, but I'm very much someone who like plays a lot of a game or like and then moves on with her life, and then will maybe replay it however many years later. Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm at like 1,000 hours, and you know, like I said, you definitely go through phases where I neglect my island for 6 months, but then when I come back, I really get into it again, and it's just so good. Like, definitely not my first Animal Crossing game. Like, City Folk was my first that I played on the Wii, and you know, New Horizons does have some negative aspects to it. It didn't have as many shops, for example, things like that. But but the just the incorporating terraforming and like being able to decorate, like, I don't know, you played some of the older ones, but I don't know if you remember that, like, when you would go outside of your house, if you try to put any furniture outside, it just appeared as a leaf. And, like, you didn't get to pick where your villagers lived. They would just, the houses would be randomly placed. And if they moved out, the house would be demolished. And when somebody else moved in, the house would be randomly placed. It could have been placed in the middle of your beautiful field of hybrid flowers. Like, they did not care. But, like, even then, I had so much fun just catching fish and bugs and trying to fill out my encyclopedias that, like, now I'm playing New Horizons and I look back and I'm like, I can't believe that kept me as entertained as it did. Because I just devote so much time to terraforming and decorating.
When New Horizons came out, that's all I did hyperfixate on it, like big time. I was in it. I was playing it every day, waiting to get off work so I can go on my coworkers' islands and check the turnip stock market and all that nonsense, yada yada yada. But after a month and a half of doing everything Tom Nook told me to do, and Isabel told me to do, like, hey, this is how you get a 3-star island, I never got there, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. And I kept trying to pick it back up. I'm like, no, I can't get into this.
Fair. You were clearly missing something.
I did. She said you need more flowers, so I planted 1,000 flowers, and then I went back and she's like, you need more flowers. So I planted more flowers, and then I went back and like, you need more flowers.
You gotta ignore Isabel because she's gonna give you the most vague advice. You need to go to like a guide or something, and it tells you specifically what you need. Like you need like 200 paths, like 50 plus amounts of fencing, like a certain amount of DIY items, a certain amount of store-bought items.
That's not fun to me is the problem.
Yeah, you don't like, yeah, that's the thing is you don't like decorating. But then again, if you're not interested in decorating, then it didn't really matter if you unlocked terraforming, right?
Right.
Because you could have just done the fishing and the bug catching and everything else.
Now, I do like decorating my own, like my actual room that I'm sitting in now. Like that kind of stuff, like rearranging this room, I do enjoy doing.
Real life decorating.
Yes.
Not video game.
Not video game decorating. But
yeah.
Yes.
But I think that's like the thing too. And especially like since the 2.0 update where they added like farming and cooking and other things, I feel like there's a variety of things to do. And I do like it. And I know a lot of people are big Stardew Valley fans. And I know you and I have had this conversation before, Blake. But the thing I like about Animal Crossing is it's so slow paced. Like it's a 24 hours in Animal Crossing is a 24 hours in real life. It's real time, which allows me to like take my own time and like slowly decorate, figure out what I want, think about the bugs I need to get that evening when they come out. And then if I really need to, I can time travel, right? Like I'm in control. Where Stardew Valley is like, this real world day is going to last 5 minutes and you better figure out what your plan is. And it's going to take you 2 of those minutes just to get over to the store that's across the map. So you better get going. And oh, you almost got there, but you ran out of energy. So it's time to go to bed now. I can't. It's too stressful for me. And Animal Crossing really does have that slow, I can just chill vibe.
So this is how I know you're not ADHD. Your brain is not moving 1,000 miles per hour where waiting is literally painful. You're just sitting there and waiting and waiting.
It's like Animal Crossing, like you can time travel.
I know, but even then, like it's such a hassle to do. You know, I have to, this is where the ADHD kicks in. I have to go out of my way to save the game, close the game, change the time clock, reopen the game, get it back into the game.
You don't have to close the game.
I thought you did have to close the game.
You just have to get to the point where it says game saved, and then you just minimize it, change the time, and then open it up again, and it will automatically refresh.
Oh.
The more you know.
Oh.
I mean, it's still not super convenient. And, you know, like, especially coming back to this game, you and I talked about this as well, coming back to this game after having played Dreamlight Valley, where the decorating allows like a bird's eye view and you can just pick things up and move them as you want to, whenever you want to for free. Whereas Animal Crossing takes a, okay, you want to move this house just 1 square over to the left. Okay, you got to go talk to Tom Nook. and you got to pay him $10,000 and talk to your neighbor and get their permission. But you can't just move it the one square over, right? Because the house is in the way. The house where it's currently standing is in the way. So you have to move it to the beach. And then you got to go and then wait the 24 hours. And then the next day you got to go pay the $10,000 to move it just that one square over.
So,
and if you want to redo a whole neighborhood that's like 4 houses, that's theoretically like 4+ days.
And okay, if you have to move it twice, that is $80,000.
10,000, 20,000.
Sorry. Yeah, 4 times. That's 20,000 a piece.
Oh, for the 4 houses.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the one. So it's, I mean, but like, you know, time travel, you know, like for example, like I said, Animal Crossing isn't a fast game. So for example, I started a new island from scratch. I've been redoing bits of it here and there. And so, you know, I did my area, I did my farm, I moved some houses around. And then when I got really sick of that and was like, I'm so sick of time traveling, what I did was I went and I'm doing the DLC stuff where you decorate houses for like, you make vacation homes for people. And that has been so insanely relaxing. And then when I'm up for it again, I'll go back and I'll finish that neighborhood. So there's just a lot to do.
Yeah. I wish I need to get back into Disney Dreamlight Valley because I did enjoy Dreamlight Valley because this is where Dreamlight Valley also has a leg up. There's missions. Like you don't have to do the decorating. You can just go help people. And I'm like, great, I get to do things. Those do get kind of frustrating sometimes if you're looking for blue flower and there's just no blue flowers no matter how hard you look. And then you pick all the flowers, you wait 30 minutes and then guess what? Still no blue flowers. Yeah, that gets frustrating. But
I think Animal Crossing New Horizons specifically did fall off of that a little because like City Folk and New Leaf, if I remember correctly, both had things where, like, the villagers would come up to you and be like, let's play hide and seek. You have 10 minutes to find us. Or, like, you know, not exactly quests or missions, but, like, hey, please bring this to so-and-so. Please bring... And I feel like my villagers do that with me less. But I agree. Sometimes for people, there needs to be a more direct, like, quest line. Like, here's something to do.
Yeah. I'll eventually try again and then inevitably fall off. So we'll see what happens.
I believe in you.
Cool. Let's move on to my number 3. And this one we both have insight on.
Oh, I can't wait.
This one I'm shocked. If this is not on your list or in your honorable mentions, I'll be shocked.
Okay.
This is a game that I begged Emily to play multiple times for...
Oh, I know what it is.
Yeah. It took me a very long time to convince her. And then after she got past the part that took me forever to get past because it takes a long time to get past that part. Once you get past the opening, that's when you're like hooked. That's when they just got
6-hour opening. It's a 6-hour opening for the record.
It's very long. It's a 10-hour opening.
10-hour opening, like for real.
This is obviously Persona 5 Royal. My goodness, what a game. I had been enjoying playing games for a long time, but I had not hyper fixated on anything like I did Persona until I finally got past that hump, and then that's all I would stay up till 4 a.m. every night. Allison would be in our bed in our apartment and be waiting for me. I'm like, nope, I'm deep in. So I finally finished all that in like a few weeks, and I finished original Persona 5 that way. And then Royal came out, immediately got it, and went through it all over again. Like
that's so strong of you to do that back to back.
Well, I skipped all the stuff I had seen before. I skipped
fair enough.
All the stuff that I had fiddled with before. All the new stuff is what I watched, so it made it very easy because I knew what was going on. It's excellent storytelling. The combat is perfect. There's nothing wrong with the combat. The fuse mechanic's really, really cool. The dungeons are great. The music is bopping all the time. Good. There's not a point in time where the music isn't bopping. There's only like 2 characters who I hate, and one of them is that what's his name? I can't think of his name. The guy who thinks he's your sidekick.
The fanboy.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. He's not very important.
Yeah, he's not great. That and the reporter. Oh, she sucked. But all the other characters very, very enjoyable. Even the arms dealer was great. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone, all the characters in the game, it just made me so happy going through it.
I will say, I'm glad that was on your list. It's in my honorable mentions. I thought a lot about it. because you're right. Persona 5, like, on surface level, is like almost a perfect game. It's so much fun. I love all the characters in it. I love the storyline. The palaces were fun, and each palace was so different. Other than Yusuke, like, Yusuke sucks. But, like, it's just such a good game from head to toe. And you're right, the music is incredible. The only thing for me that pushed it down to an honorable mention instead of favorite of all time is, despite how much I loved it, and at the time of playing it, if I was only playing it once, it would probably be one of my favorite games of all time. The problem is, for me, replayability. I don't know if I'd ever, like, it would have to be a long time before I think I could go through it again. It's an incredibly long game with lots and lots of dialogue, and lots of explaining, to the point that I think I would feel a little overwhelmed going back into it, and also maybe a little bored going back into it, because like part of the hook was like, okay, well, what's gonna happen next? Who are we gonna get next? Like, how is this gonna unfold? So knowing the storyline, I think, would have less of a motivation for me to go back and go through that all again. But still, like, a first play, 10 out of 10.
The only reason it's in third and not in second place is one, my number two, I have like double the hours you have in Animal Crossing in. But two, Okumura's Palace sucks. I won't even lie. Okumura's Palace is a slog, and it ruined, bitter taste in my mouth.
Mind the palace itself, but
it's the boss fight.
The final boss, I had to purchase a DLC persona with 10 real person dollars to be able to beat him.
I didn't go that far.
I couldn't beat him. Like, even after you told me to, like, change the level I was playing at, all this other stuff, I still couldn't do it. I couldn't get him. And I was, like, literally, I think I almost gave up on the game. Like, I think I took, like, a week-long break.
So, yeah, here's the thing. Here was the thing about it. In Persona 5 Vanilla, he's still hard, but it's doable in Persona 5 Vanilla. Mm-hmm. Royal, where they dumbed things down a little bit, they made him worse. He's much harder in Royal. In Persona 5 Vanilla, the boss fight, it makes more sense. But Royal, oh my goodness gracious, never again. I'm trying to watch my language just in case.
Yeah. Not to quickly change topics, because I'm not moving on to the next one yet, but, like, I did just look over to my second screen. And despite having Audacity pulled up, I didn't hit the record button.
That's fine. What we learned from last time was that you were using the wrong microphone last time.
Okay.
Not the last time. Sorry. The times before that. And when we switched to the right one, it sounded way better anyway, so I didn't have to use it.
I, like, pulled it up, I hit record, and then I was like, no, it's too early to start recording. We still have 5 more minutes. And then I stopped it, and then I never started again.
I gotta... Plus, here's the other issue with it too. I don't have the time to sit and just segment all the audio with a 2-day timeline and a real job.
Okay, great. Then I don't feel guilty about this at all. Let's go back to talking about Persona 5.
Emily messed up again, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I did. I sure did. Let's talk about... Oh, I was going to say, let's talk about our favorite Persona characters in Review Romance, but then I remembered that you romanced the doctor, and I no longer wanted to talk about that.
It was the only choice. Goth Doc, every time. Goth Doc. And those who romance Makoto, I'm not sorry, you're all basic. And
it's true. It's true.
She's a cop.
Her dream is to be a cop. It's true.
What a narc.
She is. I think people think, like, Anna's the most generic choice because she comes first and she's, like, the pretty friend. But I think Makoto is truly the most basic choice because she doesn't have a lot of personality to her. And then her only personality trait that's real defined is wanting to be a cop. Like, it's not that great.
I'm sacrificing my academics to help you, and my dream is to be a narc.
Can't wait to be a cop.
Okay. But I know no, who did you romance?
You know this.
I don't remember.
Because I get crap for it.
It wasn't Haru.
No, I romanced Futaba.
Oh yeah, there was no issues with that. Yeah,
Because I love Futaba so much. Like I loved her character. I will say by the time Haru came around, I was a little in love with Haru. So if I replayed again, I might romance Haru instead. I love them both equally.
I romanced Gothok the first time. I did Anne the second time just to get it over with. But I should have did Kasumi. I should have did
That's
Kasumi
fair.
the second time.
Yeah, An does have bonus points because you do get to romance her really early on, so you get some more of like the romance sequences. Whereas the other characters like Futaba, you have to wait, and like especially Haru, she doesn't come into like the last main sequence. So
Haru also has a lot of injustice because they don't give her much of a storyline. So
no, but she is the only person who comes up to you and confesses her love. Like if like you were the way it worked was like you got all your female companions to like level 9, and then at level 9 they would like sit you down,
yep.
and they would be like, hey, we're best friends, right? And at this point you could either be like, no, I'm in love with you, or you could be like, yeah, we're best friends. And if you said, yeah, we're best friends, they were like, I know, I love being best friends. And then you'd keep going on being best friends. Haru came up to you and was like, hey, so I'm in love with you, right? And then I'd either have to be like, yeah, I guess I'm in love with you too. Or like, no, go away, Haru. And then if you turn her down, she kicks you out of her house.
Yep.
Like, it is a dramatic... you have to say no to her. Whereas everybody else, you're just like, I'm just gonna keep going on my way. You had to like break her heart. And she like continues the rest of the game to drop hints that she's in love with you. And I was almost ready to like date 2 people in that run because I was like, I can't say no to her.
I'm about to play this game again. Okay, we are running out of time, so we're gonna move on to your number 3.
4.
Sorry, no. Oh yes,
Oh,
right.
sorry, my 4th one, but we're going up. They're not ranked.
Wait. Oh yeah, I made you go first. Yeah. So you're number 2 technically, but it's your 4th pick. Yeah, you're not ranked.
Yeah, mine aren't ranked because by the time we get to 5, I love both of the games that I'm potentially choosing from that I still haven't chosen yet. Okay. But they're not my number 1 of all time. Okay, so number 4 for me it was kind of another easy one, but also one I had to think through. And of course, there was one that pushed it over the other one I was choosing from, and that is, of course, the fact that this game has Groose in it. And honestly, any game that has Groose in it is going to be a 10 out of 10 game. And of course, I'm talking about The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
Everyone on YouTube roast Emily down in the comments section below.
No, these guys have a lot to choose from where to roast me because I did choose Mass Effect Andromeda. I am choosing Skyward Sword.
Yep.
And there are 2 more on my list, whereas, like, these are part of a series, and if I choose these, people are going to yell at me. So
okay.
I take pride in being different and correct. It must hurt you all to be so wrong in your choices. The thing. I think all the Zelda games, for the most part, with like tweaks here and there, all have very similar fighting mechanics. They all have very similar characters. They all have very similar everything. All it really comes down to is like a change in graphic style for the most part, and then some basic storyline adjustments here and there. And I think rarely does it deviate a lot. But I think Skyward Sword is one of those scenarios where it does deviate, but also the story and the characters, because that's really, like, if you're looking at, like, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, like I said, they all have the same basic mechanics, same basic storyline, same basic characters. And so you have to look at what story really stands out. And I think for me, that's always going to be Skyward Sword. Like, just the amount of lore you get, it being the first in the timeline, learning about how the reincarnation cycle started, learning about Demise, having a villain that is not Ganon, like, was so fun to me. And, like, yes, Demise does eventually turn into Ganon, but having Girahim, like, his sword, and, like, getting the spirits of the swords was so cool. Having Fi versus Girahim, finding out that Girahim was the spirit of the sword for Demise. I mean, just all of it. Having side characters whose storylines mattered and who, like, actually made a difference. Seeing the character development in Groose. Like, I know Groose is meant to be a comedic relief character, and we treat him as such most of the time. But watching him go from, I have to be the hero, I am the hero of the story, I am the center, I'm the one who's going to get Zelda, to being, where do you need me? What can I do? How can I contribute? And finding a way to contribute in such a way that we would have lost without him. We wouldn't have beat the villain without him. And finding his role. And Impa's whole storyline. Impa doesn't usually get a storyline, right? Like, she's usually there for 5 seconds. Think Impa in Ocarina of Time. She gives you a song, and that's the extent of her role. She comes back for a quick cutscene as a stage leader. This Impa has storyline. And the time travel. Loved the time travel. There's not enough I can say about this game to point out how many things it did right.
I mean, there's only one thing I can say that it did wrong, but I agree with you story-wise. Yes, the motion controls. If they remade it with button controls,
They did, Blake. They did.
No,
they did.
Okay, no. Doing stick directions for sword swings is not remaking it because it's still motion controls in mind.
I haven't actually even attempted to do the button control just because I don't mind the motion controls. I never. So here's the thing. Like, I wasn't part of, I would say, the gaming community when I was younger. I didn't really know a lot of people who played video games other than my best friend. And so my perception of how good video games was very isolated, right? Like, I wasn't talking to a lot of other people. I wasn't rating things online. And so when I played Skyward Sword, it was like a 10 out of 10 experience for me. Me and my best friend loved it. I replayed it for years. And it wasn't until I, started talking to more people and, getting out in the actual community and hearing people say, Skyward Sword's the worst Zelda game. And I was like, wait, what's wrong with it? The controls really, truly were never difficult for me. Like, are they perfect? Absolutely not. But I have yet to find motion controls ever that are perfect. I had to turn them off for the Origami King because they were so infuriating.
Wii bowling.
You're right. I stand corrected.
And if you want a villain who's not Ganon, may I introduce you to Four Sword Adventure and Four Swords with Vati.
I know, I have to play. I think that would be interesting enough. Like, I will say, I love all the Zelda games I've played for the most part. There's only been, I will say, I don't think I've ever disliked a game. There have been ones that I'm like, this isn't my favorite or something like that. But, Skyward Sword is always just going to stand out to me.
You just haven't played any of the 2D ones, which is what we need to change. Because Minish Cap, Four Swords, and Four Swords Adventure. Ganon is technically in Four Swords Adventure, but Vati is the main baddie until that point. Just like,
and I like
Santa's.
That.
Yeah.
I like having that break from the same thing over and over.
Then play Minish Cap and regular Four Swords. You and I still need to do Four Swords Adventure, and we're going to set that up eventually one day in the future if Emily ever decides to game. Okay, we're really running short on time. We're going to go over today, it looks like. Cool. Are you ready to continue?
Yeah, I stand by Skyward Sword.
I stand behind you. But if the comments roast you and the chat roasts you currently, I'm not going to stop them.
The chat is currently roasting me, and I know people are going to roast me on YouTube. But you know what? I'm going to sleep so peacefully tonight knowing that I appreciate everything Skyward Sword. Like, I would hate to be someone who dislikes Skyward Sword. Imagine hating a game with such good story and being unwilling to accept that it has the best storyline in any Zelda game because you're bad at it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think, I 1,000% agree. It's the best storyline of all time. I just don't like the controls. I did like, some of the bosses were cool. But I don't know.
And you know what? That's valid. Okay. Also, let's talk about, I want to quick mention the boss in the Ancient Crisern is so good. Like, the bosses are the claw shots, what they do with the claw shots. Just so much creativity in this, and I think there's a difference between saying this game wasn't for me because I don't care for motion controls, and saying it's a bad game because I was bad at it.
Bomb bowling is my only thing where I say the motion controls really didn't work. Okay, moving right along. My number 2, and we're back in territory of things that Emily have never played. I don't think she ever will play it. I have played this game on 4 different consoles. No, 3 different consoles: PC, Xbox 360, and PS3. I have multiple save files. I have.
It has to be Pokemon.
Nope. Really? Pokemon on Xbox 360 and PS3 and PC?
I didn't listen. So listening that carefully.
Anywho, yeah. So We have all those things. I have all those systems over like 20 playthroughs, over 2,000 hours. It's Fallout New Vegas. It's Fallout New Vegas, which is my first Fallout game. And the reason why, I remember why this happened. I asked this group of friends. I'm not friends with them anymore. They're not great people. I'll never talk to them again. But this is when I finally was starting college. I could finally like come into my own because I was starting to make my own money and buy what I wanted. And I asked, I'm like, I really am looking for a game that allows me to let me, one, do whatever I want whenever I want. Two, make different choices that impact the story heavily. And three, it's just fun. And they told me to play New Vegas. And I did. And I fell in love with it instantly. Because there is so much to do. There is so much to do. And
it's a big game.
It's massive. And majority of the choices you make determine, are you going to have an easy time through the game? Or is it going to be rough for you? Because there are points in time where you're just like, yeah, I'm going to go with this faction and help them out on their mission. And then everyone else hates you because of it. It is very, very interesting, the different types of ways you can play. There's also different types of builds on how you can do combat. You don't have to just use guns. You can be melee. You can use weapons. You can use fists. You can use whatever you want. You can even go into a not fighting build. You can just go straight into I want to just be really smart and be able to sneak and open up locks. Like you can play it that way. You can play however you want. And it's just so much fun. The Mojave Desert is a great little location. The map is massive. There's plenty to do in it. The enemies are fun and exciting. I mean, they're Fallout enemies. You saw the same things in all the other Fallout games, but that is the one that really stuck with me the most. I won't even say this is nostalgia because it was my first, because I did enjoy the other Fallout games, but New Vegas, nothing hit me like New Vegas hit me. Nothing hit me like New Vegas hit me.
I wish I knew more about it to like add to this conversation, but I really have only seen very little about Fallout New Vegas. I know more about Fallout 4, and that's mostly thanks to my friend playing it in front of me and also Monster Factory, but I've heard, I mean, most of the time when I hear people talk about Fallout, their favorite is going to be New Vegas. So that's a general consensus, I feel.
Of everyone I've met, you're in one of two camps. Your first camp is your favorite is Fallout 3, or the second camp is your Fallout New Vegas. Everyone likes them all, but you're one of two camps. And I see more Fallout 3 fans than I do New Vegas fans, but I'm starting to see a little bit of shift to that. The crazy thing about Fallout New Vegas is that it wasn't made by the Bethesda. They just said, hey, here's our Fallout 3 engine, Obsidian, do something with it. And Obsidian's like, hold my beer, and created one of my favorite games of all time. So that game is still stuck with me. I have been considering going back on my PS3 and actually platinuming it. It's gonna take me a long time. It's not one of those games that I'm gonna be able to do in like a week because you have to do multiple endings. It's going to take a long time, but I'm considering doing it over a.
I like that it has multiple endings. Any game that has multiple endings is gonna be a real hit for me.
Oh, there's a lot. There's how many factions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 faction endings. You can expand endings by having more non-ending affected factions join you, like join your side, but that won't change the ending. There's a lot more factions, but the ones that affect the ending, there are 4. I lied, there's 4. And those 4 will help you. So it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone really criticize New Vegas. But again, I really don't know much about it. I wish I knew more so I could share your enthusiasm.
It's pretty cheap on your PC can run it.
Can't I get it on PlayStation? I do so much better with console gaming.
No, because they didn't. Bethesda will move Skyrim to every console, but they won't move Fallout 3 or New Vegas off PS3 or Xbox 360.
So rude. That's so rude.
No, you'd have to do PC because those are locked to the PS3 and the Xbox 360.
I don't know if I'm that excited for it to like play on my PC.
Well, I'll just have to eventually.
You know what? Forget. I'm adding it to the list right under BioShock.
2037 for that one.
2037.
That's how long it's going to take you to play it.
What?
That's when you're going to play it. Because
the year. No, guys, come have a little more faith in me. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll sure see.
Okay, let's go through honorable mentions then. I'll let you go through your honorable mentions first.
There are a lot of them, boy.
I have 7 on my honorable mentions.
Okay, so first, obviously, Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
For obvious reasons. Next, like I already said, Persona 5.
Yep.
Phenomenal game. I had Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Syndicate because they are both just
Syndicate was
I
it your
love.
number 1? Oh.
No, it's not my number one. I love it. I love Syndicate. I love Assassin's Creed 2. Both are incredible games. I know Assassin's Creed Syndicate was another one. I was like, if I put this down, I'm gonna have Andromeda, Skyward Sword, and Syndicate, and people are gonna think I have the worst taste in video games
You're
ever.
gonna get crucified.
But yeah, Assassin's Creed Syndicate is such a good game. I just, at the end of the day, I really had to like make some choices.
Yeah.
And it didn't make the end. Kingdom Hearts 3
Okay.
was another honorable mention. That was another one where I was like, I can add this to the list. Still not the fan favorite. Resident Evil 2.
Okay.
PT.
Okay.
And my last honorable mention, which was the hardest one to get rid of from my top 5, and I had to like think about it a lot. Ghost of Tsushima.
I'm shocked.
It's really, really hard to get rid of that one.
Fair.
And I'm still unsure about it. I'm still unsure. I still feel like maybe that should have been in my top 5, but then I've only played it once, and I feel like that's something I haven't. But it also came out more recently, so I don't know. I'm already doubting everything.
All right, my honorable mentions, and then we'll get to your quote-unquote number 1, even though it's not number 1. Final Fantasy X, Jak and Daxter, which is part of that PS2 era that I love. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, also part of that PS2 era that I love. Pokemon Emeralds, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario the Thousand Year Door.
So close to making it.
And more recently, I knew it was going to go in honorable mention and not my top 5, but I think about it a lot. Stray. Stray really was that good. I love Stray.
Is that good?
For a short, 8 to 10 hour game, it is so good. And I loved it. I could play it again.
Surprised Ghost of Tsushima didn't make your honorable mention. Because I know it's not your number 1. I know what your number 1 is.
No, you don't.
I've been saying it since the beginning.
You don't know what it is. Ghost of Tsushima, I love it. It's probably in my top 20. It's not in my top 10.
Fair enough.
But I do thoroughly love it. I swapped out Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter with Sly Cooper, because I looked at my shelf and I like Sly Cooper more. I slacked out Pokemon Emerald with BioShock Infinite. That one was hard. Those were my hard too.
Yeah, that feels.
Pokemon Emerald.
I'm kind of surprised you didn't have a single Mario or Pokemon game on your whole top 5.
As a genre, the Mario type of games, the platformers, they're always my number 1. That and action JRPGs. But as games themselves, as much as I love them and can replay them over and over, they don't get in my top 5. Pokemon Emerald was close. Pokemon Emerald was very close. Sunshine wasn't going to make it. I knew that, but I know it's in my top 10. 1,000 Year Door was also very, very close.
Yeah. Mine, Ghost of Tsushima almost made it. And the reason I didn't put, you were surprised I didn't put Assassin's Creed Syndicate down. And the reason Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Assassin's Creed 2 didn't make it on the list was because of Ghost of Tsushima. Because I said if I was going to put an open world, sneaky Assassin's Creed type game down, it was going to be Ghost of Tsushima. And I just want to spend a second talking about that game because it's beautiful. It's well made. The story is great. And it really just perfected that genre of game. It's something that the nostalgia for the other one and the storyline for the other one hit a little bit more for my number 1.
All right. Well, let's hear your number 1, Em.
And I should note that this isn't actually my number 1 game of all time. It's just in my top 5 list. And I'm still unsure of my top 5 list, y'all.
Just spit it out. Get it over with.
I love this game dearly. And the TV adaptation of it recently reminded me how much I love this game. And it is, of course, going to be The Last of Us.
Yep. There it is.
I love everything about this game, from the gameplay mechanics. I'm not very much into shooting games, but this one does it really well, I feel. It also, you don't want to shoot, it has a lot of crafting for like bombs, Molotov cocktails, other things. You can also be sneaky. So it does give you the option to like whether you want to initiate fights and shoot all the people or you want to kind of sneak around. It also has resource collecting, which I realized in the last couple of years is something I really enjoy because I'm a hoarder. Whereas like Resident Evil and like The Last of Us, you have to be very careful with your resources and like how to spend them. And I really love that. And then of course the elephant in the room, which is just that the storyline is so incredible. The relationship between Joel and Ellie and how you can watch that grow throughout the story, all while fighting zombies. It's just so good. Getting to play as Ellie for a while, going through the different seasons, there's really not a lot that I would ever criticize this game for. It was a pretty game. It's just so good. I mean, I don't think anything is going to hit me the way it hit when Ellie, or when Joel holds Ellie and like calls her baby girl for the first time after she almost dies, and deciding that she's his daughter at the end and choosing to save her. It's perfect. Anyway, that's my take on that.
Also, voice acting for Joel is 10 out of 10 because anything with Troy Baker in it is perfect.
Oh, but let's not. I mean, yes, 10 out of 10. Troy Baker is incredible, but also the girl who plays Ellie, who is also in the TV show, is 10 out of 10 incredible. She's really famous in the D&D world too.
Don't forget Pedro Pascal.
She's not Ellie in the real show. She plays Ellie's mom in the show, but she's Ellie in the game.
Oh,
that's why I didn't mention Pedro Pascal, because she is Ellie in the game, but she plays Ellie's mom in the show. But yes, while I'm on the topic, Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey did an incredible job as Ellie and Joel. And like,
I need to watch
it. Ashley Johnson. I knew her name was Ashley, but I kept trying to say not Johnson. I don't know why. I knew her name, but she's incredible. She did an incredible job on the show, and her voice acting is just great. And I haven't played the game in a while. I did start replaying the remake a while back, but the show was done so well, it also reinvigorated my love for the game as well. So, and this doesn't apply to part 2, though. So, I'll just say that. I haven't played part 2, but
I don't think you're going to.
You know what you did part 2. You know what you did.
I know what your opinions on part 2 are.
That's my number 1. I know you don't really have many comments because you haven't played The Last of Us other than those first few hours.
I got to the part where I'm trying to sneak into this man's like neighborhood and trying to avoid tripwires doing it.
Bill's house, yeah. You do need to watch the show at some point. Even if you never play the game again, please watch the show.
We'll eventually play the game again.
The show does a good enough, I mean, I don't want to say good enough job, but it's accurate enough and super well done. So if you were like, I don't have it in me to play this game, just watch the show, man.
I will eventually get there. Eventually.
I feel like this pick was the only one that was like publicly supported.
All right. Are you ready for mine?
Oh, guys, drumroll. Who knows what this game's going to be? It's going to be real shocker.
My number 1 is Ocarina. Oh, wait, sorry, that's the wrong list. Super Mario. Nope, still wrong. I mean, it's no surprise. It's Kingdom Hearts 1. Oh, wow. What a surprise. Who would have guessed?
It.
This is actually, I honestly might get roasted in the comments for this because everyone is such a Kingdom Hearts 2 stan over Kingdom Hearts 1. I probably will just get roasted for this.
I don't think so. It's popular enough.
My goodness, Kingdom Hearts 1 is a whole different realm. I don't know why. The story.
Are you talking about Kingdom Hearts 1? Or are you talking about Kingdom Hearts 1.5? I want to be very clear on that.
I mean, they're the same game with a couple extra steps.
No, they're not. One you can skip cutscenes in, and one you can.
Okay, that's not a big enough change to make a difference. But you're right.
It sure is. If you're really bad at the game and you have to get the not Clayton 50 times, it sure does change the experience.
And the amount of times that I heard Sora say, "There's no way I'm letting you take Kyrie's heart." Just over and over and over.
No way I'm letting you take Kyrie's heart.
Mind you, I was like 10 or 11 when I fought that Riku for the first time, and I was so angry. Like, I didn't understand. It was so difficult. Besides the point. I mean, there's just so much to say. Because here's the thing with Kingdom Hearts 1 versus Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 2 opened, like, they told you how many chests were in the world, everything you're looking for and everything. Most things are mostly out in the open. There's not really as many type puzzles. Kingdom Hearts 1 had so many hidden puzzles that I'm still discovering to this day. There's the clock in the room that you're in with Yuffie that I did not know until 2018. And I had played that game a million times. There is the way to fly into, like, those moving platforms in Hollow Bastion that you have to rearrange so you can get up higher. You can go underneath them into a hidden room there and get a chest. Finding the Dalmatians was fun. I won't say the vines were fun. Tarzan vines were never fun. I always did the.
They were not fun. They were not fun.
They were not fun. I used
actually, not even as bad as the vines. Jumping on those stupid frickin' hippos going in and out of the water, I is so terribly on.
But that's how you got to skip the vines. You had to jump on the hippos to skip the vines.
No, because then you still had to climb up the vines.
Yeah, you skip the hippos. You go across all the hippos, you climb up the giant, like, bamboo, then you're already in the place with the vine you just have to climb up, and you're done. You don't have to swing.
Tarzan was a rough one for me.
I wish they'd bring it back, though. The boss fights in Kingdom Hearts 1, the fact that they had a contest to name one of the bosses in New York City.
What one was it?
Kurt Ziza, which is the secret boss in Agrabah, the one with the 4 hands.
Oh, yeah.
That is a secret boss, and that was a contest that a guy named Kurt Ziza won, and they named it that.
Cool.
That was a good boss, too. The Phantom boss. The secret bosses in Kingdom Hearts 1 are incredible, and that Sephiroth fight in Kingdom Hearts 1 will still, to this day, be the hardest, scariest fight I've ever done in my life that I did without Ultimate Weapon, and I beat with Oathkeeper.
I can hear the music in the background, so it's stuck with me.
I distinctly remember, like, oh, why is this new Coliseum match? Question marks. Oh, why is my attack's not doing anything?
Oh. I'm with you. Kingdom Hearts 1 is an incredible game. I love it to death. The first time I played it was such a surreal experience for me because my friend gave it to me without much pomp or circumstance and didn't really explain much. And I'll admit, I was really stupid. Okay, I was a stupid child. And
same.
No,
to be
guys,
fair,
you're gonna hear this and you're gonna be like, "Wow, she's really stupid." But I had never played a game like this. Like, please remember, most of my gaming experience up to this point was Zelda. So I had never really played a game where you really had to, like, level up. So I just didn't fight things because I was like, I don't want to fight those guys. They respawn all the time. I'm not fighting them. And then I went to her, I was like, Cassie, this game is so hard. Why can't I do good at this game? And she had to come over to my home and be like, why are you using the Kingdom Key? And I was like, because it's the weapon they gave me. She's like, no, bro. You got such better weapons. And then she's like, why are you level 5? And I was like, I don't know what that means. So, and I didn't do great out of the gate. And so obviously I also played it for the first time on PS2. So I got to see those cutscenes a lot. And then when I got to 1.5, I'd say it's a better experience. But also,
for sure.
The PTSD of platinuming that game for the first time and needing to get that extra, like the power shard from the Sniper Wilds in Traverse Town.
Yep.
I've never forgotten that to this day. And
Sniper Wilds,
that has stuck with me.
It's because Sniper Wilds are not in Kingdom Hearts Vanilla on the PS2.
No, they're not. They are
an exclusive
I don't know if that trade-off is better. I don't know if I'd rather have unskippable cutscenes or the Sniper Wilds. But, like, again, the Sniper Wilds were only if you wanted to get the special item and
it's
platinum
just
the game or whatever.
It's just the platinum trophy.
Yeah.
I also... So Kingdom Hearts 2, once again, it's a great game. But coming from Kingdom Hearts 1, it is significantly easier. It is significantly easier than Kingdom Hearts 1.
Agree with that. I think that's another reason I like Kingdom Hearts 2 is because I felt really stupid during Kingdom Hearts 1. I had a big learning curve, and then I got to Kingdom Hearts 2, and I was like, oh, I got this.
I didn't have a level learning curve with Kingdom Hearts 1. I had a learning curve when it came to finding out what to do. like, where do I go? Because they're like, here's 3 worlds, go have fun.
Go do it.
Yeah, so figuring that out at first was rough for me. But after I got past that initial, like, what do I do? I was hooked. That was my main learning curve. But I do enjoy, I still struggle with things like the Maleficent Dragon. I still struggle with Clayton. I still struggle with Riku in every sense. Because Riku 2, ingrained in my head, there's no way you're taking Kyrie's heart, still haunts my nightmares.
Why are you taking Kyrie's heart? I don't know. Which Kingdom Hearts game is my favorite is something I often change my mind about. I did have Kingdom Hearts 3 on my honorable mentions, and I saw a little bit of question mark about that. And honestly, like, this is going to sound really not very, I don't want to say not smart of me, but not very thoughtful, I guess I would say. It's not very deep. I like pretty games. And I love Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. They're not very pretty. Kingdom Hearts 3 is really pretty.
Shallow.
There's other reasons I like Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. I did like the worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3 a lot, aside from the Frozen world, because that world was terrible. But, like, even, like, comparing, the Pirates of the Caribbean world from 2 to 3, I loved Pirates of the Caribbean in 3.
I just don't think it's fair for the comparison, because you're comparing PS2 era to PS4 era.
Oh, for sure.
Late PS4 era, mind you.
Absolutely. It's a totally unfair comparison. But it still stands, and there's something in Kingdom Hearts 3 that, I loved the world, I loved the Toy Story world, I loved the finding the hidden Mickeys, which was so stupid but so fun, taking the stupid, I don't know, I think I'd replay that. I've replayed all of them several times, but, like, I think if you were like, which one you want to go back to, or Birth by Sleep, those two are pretty on par for me.
Birth by Sleep is also fire. If anyone says Recoded, then no, get out. Don't talk to me. Well, on that note, because we're essentially out of time, and I don't want to go over too much.
We are.
Yeah, so we're about to go into after party. If you're on YouTube watching this, remember, come watch us live on Twitch, and then you get to join the after party where we do chat with you, the chat. If you are currently in chat, we're about to talk to you. Make sure if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, feed the algorithm, put in a comment. You can find me individually on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/thebeardedblake show, and you can find Emily where?
Twitch.tv/EmilyJean33 sometimes when I stream, which is not very often these days.
Which I know is a problem.
I'm gonna do better.
Are you, though? Are you really?
Yeah, I am. Just you wait.
Press X to doubt.
You probably should.
On that note, everybody, thank you for watching on YouTube. Come check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/iCallYoshiPod. Bye, everybody. We're going to the after party. Bye.